Hey everyone, welcome to the Trendline Investor channel. So in today's video, we're going to look at a very important concept which will help you to scan for stocks, to identify buy points in a stock, and also to know when to exit a stock. Okay, so this is a concept that I've been using since quite some time, and most of you know it. And it's an indicator that today I'm going to explain to you on how to use it for all the purposes that I mentioned. So the indicator is CCI Indicator or the Commodity Channel Index. Now, most of you would already be knowing what is Commodity Channel Index, and most of you probably might not know also what this indicator is. But it's similar to the RSI indicator or the Relative Strength Index indicator that most of you have heard. In fact, if you have heard about markets and if you know technical analysis, then definitely RSI is something that everyone knows. But it's not about whether you use RSI or whether you use CCI or whether you use MACD. You could use any indicator. But what you need to understand is what does this indicator do, and why should you be looking at an indicator, and why you should be practicing such an indicator, and will it help you or not? So that's the main question, and today we're going to look at each and everything of this in this video. So I hope you're excited, and before we jump into the details, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to my channel, and also hit the notification button so that you get all the notifications from my channel right on your mobile. Okay, so let's get into this stock, the CCI indicator video for today. So I'm going to use just a simple trading view chart, and I'm just going to block all of this, and I want to explain you with simple terms that most of us understand, so that you understand what CCI indicator is and what momentum is. So the first thing that we're going to cover today is what is momentum and how do people actually use momentum to trade stocks. Okay, now a simple example of a ball. Now when you throw a ball, you just throw a cricket ball or whatever ball it is. When you throw it in the air, the ball goes with a high speed because the point at release is really strong, and that means the ball is really traveling at a high speed, and then slowly that ball starts to lose its speed, right? So you throw a ball, it goes all the way up, right, with full speed, and then the momentum starts reducing because of gravity. There is an opposite force which is acting and which tries to bring the ball down, right? So that gravity reduces the speed of the ball, and the momentum reduces as and when the ball starts heading higher. And at one point the momentum kind of completely goes to a halt, and then it starts reversing, and the ball again starts picking up momentum on the downward side, and the ball starts falling at a higher pace before it reaches the ground and hits, and again the ball starts heading higher. Now obviously the point at this point and this point, the momentum is completely slightly less, so the ball will not go all the way high, so it goes down, it again comes down, it goes up, again comes down like this, and it settles down. Now the reason for this complete action is that the momentum has been initially strong, but then it kind of increased again, went on this way down, but the momentum reduced a bit, and then again it goes up, comes down. So momentum is reducing, whenever there's a friction, momentum reduces. And in a similar way, you have in markets also has momentum, and for that reason you see contraction in stocks, and you see stocks also forming a similar kind of a behavior. So momentum goes up, the stock comes down, then you see it goes down, right, and then finally there's someone else comes and pushes, and it crosses and breaks out, and then the momentum again picks up, and then it heads higher, right? So momentum is also applicable to markets. But the only thing that you need to understand is in markets, the momentum, it's really difficult to catch because you need to really know at what points probably the probability is on your side, and you need to know when the momentum will be on your side so that you can make some quick money. But in market terms, I'll give you a short example. So today if a stock moves up 10%, okay, but yesterday if the stock only moved 3%, so today's movement was 10%, yesterday it was 3%, which means momentum in the stock is higher, on the higher side today, right? Or for that matter, even if you take, like, let's say the last many months, the stock has moved on average 5 to 10% every month, but this month suddenly the stock has moved to 30%. That means this month the upward momentum in the stock is higher, right? So again, you can explain that with a simple example. You can take any stock, like for example, let's take the example of Credit Access Grameen. Okay, I'm just going to plot this just to show you what momentum is. Right, so the momentum here in this stock has been very strong, and the stock went up almost, from the low point, it has gone up almost 300%, right? Then the momentum increased on the downside, right? So downside momentum increased, so the stock fell almost 70%. Then again the stock, upward momentum increased. The stock was in upward momentum. It went up almost 166%. Now this is a cycle which repeats in markets every now and then. Okay, and this is what you want to catch. You want to know the point where the long-term momentum is changing or the short-term momentum is changing, and depending on what kind of trader you are, whether you're a short-term trader, long-term trader, you need to catch the momentum on the right side. Okay, so that's a short overview on momentum. So how do people trade momentum? You actually buy higher and you sell higher. So when the stock is going high, the momentum is picking up, and then you use some kind of an indicator like CCI, and the momentum is picking up, and then you buy that stock and you sell even higher. For example, you buy Credit Access Grameen. I posted this video this week. So you buy it 700, you sell it 1,000, and then you again buy probably 1,100, and you buy it, sell it 1,500. So that's one of the ways you could use momentum to trade. But today, the most important point is I want to explain how to find momentum using CCI and how to identify whether the upward momentum in a stock is starting or not. Okay, so that's going to be our primary focus for today, and I'm going to explain how to use CCI also to trade, to find levels where this trend is changing and where momentum is picking up. Okay, but the first question most of you might ask is, why CCI, right? Now CCI, there's no specific reason as such. So CCI means Commodity Channel Index and has been used by a lot of traders in the last many years, last couple of decades. But RSI is more popular for a momentum indicator, or even for that matter, MACD is also even popular as a momentum indicator. But the reason why I am choosing CCI is purely because there was a person that I followed on Twitter, Nimbler, and I kind of got inspired and I started getting used to that CCI indicator. That's why I'm using CCI indicator. Otherwise, there's no other reason as to why I am specifically inclined to CCI indicator. Maybe if there was a person who inspired me with RSI, maybe I'd have used RSI as well. Okay, but all this doesn't matter. All you need to know is, if you're sticking to one indicator, you need to practice that indicator hundreds and thousands of times so that you get comfortable with it. So that's the only reason. There's no other reason. So let's look at first, what is CCI, right? Now I'll just plot the CCI here just for that you know what CCI is and what I'm talking about it as well. Now, any momentum indicator, what it primarily tells you is what is the momentum of that stock, whether the upward momentum is picking up, what is the price behavior of that stock compared to the past many days, past many months, and based on that it will compare the current price movement, and then it will tell you whether the momentum is up or down. Now, as I said, in the last many months, if the stock has been trading only 5%, 10% moves, and suddenly this month the stock has moved 30%, you know that the stock has moved 20% more than the average, which means the momentum is high. Now we also call this as rate of change. Okay, it's also a simple indicator. For example, you're driving a car, you start the car at 0 kilometers per hour, and then you start accelerating, and the acceleration picks up, right? So you go from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60. So the momentum picks up, and that's why the car is moving forward. Now, in a similar way, we want to find what is that momentum and when is the momentum picking up in the stock. So CCI, what it does is it tries to compare. CCI, what it does is it tries to compare what is the current day movement compared to the last n days. N days could be 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. We'll come to that shortly. But what is your indicator doing today as compared to the last 10 days or 20 days or whatever time period? Now that's all it tells. Now, if for example today the stock has moved, let's say to 414 levels, but it never moved to 414, which means obviously it has moved to one of its highest points, which means the CCI is going to be bullish, right? Which means the CCI is showing you that the stock is in upward momentum. So I'll just go to the daily charts to show you this better. Let's go back to the IPO price, and I'll show you how this indicator is behaving when a stock tends to move up. Okay, so remember, CCI is just a tool which shows you what is today's movement compared to the last n days movement. Okay, it's simple that. Now, how do you know when to use CCI, and what does CCI tell you? Now, CCI is an indicator which doesn't have a boundary. Okay, so if you see here, there are two boundaries here. One is minus 100 and one is 100. So these are two boundaries, and then it can go even above 100. For example, here if you see, it's gone to 130 levels, right? So CCI can go to any level. It can go to minus 500, minus 600, depending on the momentum of the stock and compared to how much it has moved for the past n days. So you want to know that the stock, when it is above 0, when CCI is above 0, which means it is now moving higher than the historical average. Okay, the historical 10 days or 20 days. If the CCI is above 100, which means if it goes above this blue line here that I have marked here, which means the stock is very bullish, and it has even passed, it's trending really strong, and it is performing very good, and it is about to give a breakout in the short term, medium term, or long term, whichever charts you're looking at. If it goes below minus 100, which means it's underperforming the last, terribly from the last compared historical average, and the stock is heading lower, or it is set to head lower, and it can show some weakness in the short term, medium term. So that's all you need to know. Above 100, which means the stock is really bullish, or it is about to start getting bullish. Below minus 100, which means the stock is getting bearish or about to get very bearish. Okay, and if it's around the zero range, or if it's below, between minus 100 and plus 100, then the stock is going to trend in a range. Okay, these are the three simple things that you have to understand. Now, for example, let's take this IPO level. Right? The stock was listed here around this level, back in 2018 August, 23rd of August when it was listed. Then the stock went down. Now here I'm using you could use any period. So as I said, you can use 10, 20, 30 depending on your comfort and your zone. Now I use 34, so I'm just going to use 34 for daily charts. Okay, and 34 is basically, I'm looking at what is the past 34 period behavior, and what is today's move compared to the last 34 days. So here at this point, if you see, CCI went below minus 100 at this point, it was minus 102, which means the stock is doing bad, and then it starts heading higher, right? And if you see at this day, it has crossed 0 and is at 29.88. Now this shows that the stock is now performing better than the past 34 days. Okay, all it's saying is compared to the last 34 days, I am doing better. It shows that the momentum is now picking up on the higher side. Okay, and then if you see, then the stock goes higher, CCI goes higher, and here it's crossed 100. Now 100 is when I feel the stock has really started a really good move up, and that's when it comes into my scanner. Now this point, what you want to check is, so this is the point when the stock crossed 100. I'm going to mark that point. I used Alt V to draw that horizontal line so that at this point the stock has crossed 100. Now all I want to check at this point is, what is the trend, right? The trend is definitely, it has broken a downward trend. It has crossed here and is now heading higher. Now at this point, if you want to take a bet, you can definitely take a bet and you buy the stock, and you consider that this stock, unless it stays above 100, the stock is very bullish and I will not sell it. When the stock goes below 100 and it starts trending towards zero level, which means the stock is already starting to underperform the recent average, and that's what you see here, right? Now if you see, the stock has been above 100, and then it's here, it started going to 76 levels, and then here at this point is when it went below minus 100, so below zero. Then if the stock is going sideways, and then again it comes back above 100, here it has crossed 200 levels. So you see, whenever it goes above the 200 level, all you want to know is whether the stock is in bullish territory or bearish territory. So at this point, what you want to check is, that was a recent high there, and now I'm just drawing a line there, and now all I want to do is, I know that there is some resistance around that point. It has again went above 100, then it again turned down, it again crossed 100, and then it again went down, and again here at this point it crossed 100, and then it finally had a breakout. Now you see, if you look at this on the weekly charts, it's a much better way to look at. But in this chart, if you see, it formed a massive cup and handle before it had a breakout and before it went high. Now all I use CCI just for my scanning purposes. I don't enter, just because CCI has crossed 100, I will not enter the stock. Right, now I'll show you how I also enter the stock based on this. Right, so if you see, this is a massive cup and handle that has formed in the stock. Now moment it crosses 100 here, I would not buy the stock at this point, because the stock has already moved up, very well from the bottom, right? It has already moved up almost 40%. Now at this point, if you're going to buy the stock, there's a very high chance that you might, the stock might come down again, back to that level. In this case, it did not come out, but there's a very high chance that you might end up in losses. So I will wait for it to form a very tight pattern. Right, one of the patterns that I probably might enter is, at this point where there's a tight consolidation happening, right? So if you see at this point, there is a tight consolidation happening, and it's also kind of inverted head and shoulders here, and it breaks out, then it kind of again goes sideways. But the best point for you to buy a stock after it crosses CCI 100, remember CCI 100 is only a scanner. So you need to wait for it to cross CCI 100, and then you wait for really, really good volumes to come in the stock, something like this, above at least, it should be above 50-day moving average of the volumes. So you can also plot that here to see, the moving average, right? So moving average is 20, so you plot 50, and then you go to style and you put volume moving average, right? So if you see here, the stock has already been trending above the 50-day moving average once, twice, many times, and finally here it moved up massive volumes, and this is a massive cup and handle and above IPO price, and that's when you buy the stock. Now many people might say this is hindsight analysis, but that's how you learn, right? Or if you want to avoid whipsaws, then go to the weekly chart. You apply the same logic, right? On the weekly chart, you want to wait and see when the stock is crossing above 100. For example, so since I don't have much data, CCI starting from here, let's start this point, right? So CCI has crossed above 100 at this point, right? So all you need to do is, now if you've seen my videos in the past, you will know how I enter. So CCI crossed 100 here, and then you enter at this point with a small stop loss. The stop loss should be about this point. So you know CCI is entering 100 on the weekly charts, so which shows momentum is coming, and you enter at this point with stop loss there, and you ride the trend, right? And you probably exit there, right? Or when CCI goes below -100. So the same way I calculated, I posted the video this week as well. CCI is finally crossing 100 in this week of Feb 2022, and finally stock is showing some really bullish moves with massive volumes, and that's why I've recommended the stock this week as well. So that's how you catch momentum. If CCI is above 100, first thing is create a watch list with long-term trend changes. Go to weekly chart. If CCI crosses 100, create a watch list with long-term downtrend change or long-term uptrend starting. Okay, because these stocks most likely will give you a good return. So, and if CCI is staying above 100 and if it is moving higher, which should give you more confidence, and then you keep adding on to the stock up to 10% or 20% depending on your knowledge in markets. But another point is, a lot of people might say that CCI above 100 means that the stock is overbought, or if CCI is below -100, it's oversold. You should not buy when a CCI is above 100. Now that's not totally right. Now I'll show you why. Now, for example, let's say you wanted to at this point CCI is above 100. Now, if traditionally, according to people, if this is overbought, then, and if you didn't buy the stock, you're missing on a good opportunity, right? Now, note I'm looking at long-term trend changes. An example for this for this point here, I'm looking at a long-term trend change, right? So that's a long-term trend change when it breaks out of that level. So that's why I'm interested in the stock when it's above 100. So just because CCI is above 100 or indicators above the overbought level doesn't mean a stock will not head higher. That's a myth, and do not fall for that, and do not get confused by that statement. Obviously, you can also trade short stocks when CCI is above 100, but there are certain parameters that you have to look at and certain ways to look at. So that's what I want to discuss today. CCI, I'll give a short summary. It is a momentum indicator. It indicates what is the current average or what is the current momentum of the stock compared to the historical average. And CCI above 100 means it's bullish territory, especially on the weekly time frame. If CCI is just entering above 100 after many years, then definitely that's a sign that the stock is going to head higher. And if CCI is going below -100 and the stock has already moved up a lot, that could probably mean that's the top for the stock and the stock is not going to do well anymore. Okay, now these are some of the examples. I just discussed one example, Credit Access Grameen. Maybe we'll do another video where I'll discuss many more examples of how to use CCI and trade in markets, or how to find long-term investments ideas. So that's it for today. But if you did like this CCI and how I told you what CCI is, then definitely don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because there are many more videos coming where you can learn with Trendline Investor and where you can learn and grow in this journey along with me. Okay, so I'll leave you here. Take care, stay safe and trade safe. I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.